Bill Maher has a new rule. New rule is to the people of Gaza, you're conquered, get over it. That's basically the thesis of his new rule, but he puts a little more meat on the bones. Let's see this. This is sped up a little bit. We had a lot of long videos this evening, and as you can see, we're already running a bit over.
Do you see all the other victims of genocide complaining?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay. They don't all complain. Okay. Here he is.
And the new rule, I know it's supposed to be that magical time of year, but maybe what we all really need right now is a good dose of realism. I see a lot of nativity scenes when I'm out, as you always do before Christmas, and I can't help thinking about where that manger
in
really
the rich
is.
neighborhoods
It's
of
in the
L.A. Sorry, this reminds me of the conversation. I don't go to Skid Row. That's the thing in Los Angeles. You see a lot of nativity scenes in these very rich areas. Go through a lot of working class areas, you don't see nativity scenes. You need a big lawn for a nativity scene.
Right.
They're kind of expensive to create. You know, I see all these nativity scenes. Wow, what a guy.
West Bank on Palestinian
Sorry, I shouldn't have butted in there. Just had to mention that.
Christmas, and I can't help thinking about where that manger really is. It's in the West Bank on Palestinian lands controlled by the Palestinian Authority. In 1950, the little town of Bethlehem was 86% Christian. Now it's overwhelmingly Muslim. And that's my point tonight. Things change. To 2.3 billion Christians, there can be no more sacred site than where their Savior was born. But they don't have it anymore. And yet no Crusader army has geared up to take it back. Things
This
change.
time.
Countries, boundaries,
Right, exactly.
empires. Palestine was under the Ottoman Empire for 400 years, but today an ottoman is something you put under your feet.
All right, I'm going to risk looking like an idiot in front of our biggest live audience ever. Why was that a funny joke? I mean, I know what an ottoman is, but why was is it something you put under your feet? Why was that a punchline? Am I missing something?
I mean, maybe. I mean, what don't you get? Like, I mean, it's not that funny, but you get the joke, right?
I guess.
An ottoman is something you put under your feet, the piece of furniture. You know, the
Right.
piece of furniture. Right. So
Now it carries
it's
no
not
weight.
an
Now it's something
empire
you.
anymore, and now it's something you put your feet.
Now it's a piece of furniture. Got it. Wow.
Yep, that's the whole gag. That's
Man.
the bit. That's the
That
bit.
went right over my head. I guess I'm too stupid for that one. That's a hilarious joke. Wow,
That's
what
the
a team of
whole-
writers he's got there. You know,
got-
maybe he's right.
got-
Maybe he didn't.
he's
Maybe he
got
could have done a show without the writers. If that's the best his writers could do, that was a hell of a joke.
I mean, fair enough. He should actually use that joke to make an argument for deunionizing his shop.
It's like the least funny joke I've ever seen in the history of late night TV. I mean,
pretty
that is
bad.
about the lamest joke I've ever heard on one of these shows.
Maybe they're using the lame jokes to distract from the horrific thesis.
Maybe he's trying to be folksy. I'll make a lame joke to be
Yeah.
folksy because now I'm
Right.
about to advocate for the displacement and mass murder of 1,000 children a week.
Well, yeah. I mean, Custer was big on that. He cracked a couple dad jokes.
Right. He liked to warm up.
before.
Butter him up with humor first. Right, a couple dad jokes just to start.
The city of Byzantium became the city of Constantinople, became Istanbul. Not everybody liked it, but you can't keep arguing the call forever. The Irish had the entire island to themselves, but the British were starting an empire, and, well, the Irish lost their tip.
Another zinger. Man, who wrote this monologue? Give this guy a raise. Wow. What a comic genius he's got writing this one. Holy shit.
The same person that wrote the Rappaport Dumbledore sketch.
Yeah, right, exactly.
They flew someone in from the Israeli comedy
What is it?
show.
Eretz Hebron or whatever the fuck that show is, the number
Whatever
one comedy show in Israel. Yeah, that's who's writing this one. Damn.
They blew each other up over it for 30 years, but eventually everybody comes to an accommodation, except the Palestinians. Was it unjust that even a single Arab family was forced?
Unfucking.
Unfucking.
Where the fuck do you get the balls?
Unreal.
Oh, here we
To
go.
move upon the founding of the Jewish state? Yes, but it's also not rare. Happening all through history, all over the world, and mostly what people do is make the best of it. After World War II, 12 million ethnic Germans got shoved out of Russia and Poland and Czechoslovakia because being German had become kind of unpopular.
Yeah, why? Because Germany had committed one of the most heinous crimes in the history of humanity. And it's the Palestinian people who were made to pay for those crimes by giving up their land. If you would if the Jews needed a state, if we needed a state and you gave us a quarter of Germany, this would be a very different conversation, be a very different world.
Well, it's very interesting because he talks about, I believe at one point in this monologue, all of the Jews that after the founding of Israel, after the Zionists invaded the region, were expelled from Arab lands. The equivalent here of the Germans really would be that, where the members of this group that had invaded and occupied and committed atrocities were expelled from the surrounding territories in retaliation.
1 million Greeks were shoved out of Turkey in 1923, 1 million Ghanaians out of Nigeria in 1983, almost 1 million French out of Algeria in 1962. Nearly 1 million Syrian refugees moved to Germany 8 years ago. Was that a perfect fit? And no one knows more about being pushed off land than the Jews.
This is just very weird because he's naming, not in every case, but in some cases like Algeria, he's naming colonial powers being displaced from the places they invaded.
Right.
As somehow being equivalent to what is being done to the Palestinians.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking
I caught that
about?
too.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, whoever wrote this, not much of a sense of humor or history, turns out. Yeah, lame jokes and even lamer historical critique.
Like the French are
Including
the victims of Algerians?
Yeah, right, exactly. They were driven out of Algeria.
Talking about?
Yeah, I mean, what are you talking about? Exactly.
About being pushed off land than the Jews, including being almost wholly kicked out of every Arab country they once lived in. Yes, TikTok fans.
Is that all after 1948? What happened in 1948, I wonder, that caused that result?
Right.
Hang on a second. I thought Israel made Jews safer. I thought that was making Jews safer. So why is it that all these Jews get expelled after the Zionist dream is fulfilled? Wasn't it making Jews safer? Wasn't it? Apparently not. Not in all of these countries where they seem to have been welcome. They stayed there for centuries, for millennia. Doesn't
Seems
seem
like
like
things
they
were
wanted
better
to
off
leave.
when they had furniture to put under their feet.
Seems that way. That way. When the Ottoman was both an empire and a very comfortable footrest.
And a footrest. Yeah.
And a
See,
footrest.
exactly.
You can have both. It's not either or, Bill.
See, we improvised that joke. We didn't even have to write it. We just came up with that top of our head. That's how
Boom.
good we are.
Quick.
Yeah.
Ethnic cleansing happened both ways. In Fiddler on the Roof, the family
Ethnic
is always...
cleansing happens both ways. I mean, what more do you need to see, folks? This is what I mean. Like, even when
So
they
when
lose the argument, they'll just
are
so
ejected-
brazenly admit what they're doing.
Yeah, when colonizers are ejected from the places they colonize, that's ethnic cleansing? What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, yeah, there's that too. But he just said Israel's committing. He just said it. They're doing ethnic cleansing, and it goes both ways. So get over it.
Right.
All's fair in love and war. That's what he's
well-
saying. He's just saying "suck it." Basically, that's the title of the monologue. Yeah.
Well, this is at core. That's what I was saying with RFK. When you push Zionists hard enough, this is what they start saying. It's just that Maher is such a fucking arrogant prick. He's stripping off all the veneer and just saying it completely directly, not couching it in language or it's complicated. He's just straight out saying, yeah, ethnic cleansing, part of history, deal with it. Why do you have to be the ones that complain about it?
Yeah, just incredible.
always moving to stay one step ahead of the Cossacks, but they deal with it. When they're leaving Anatevka, they say, hey, it wasn't so great anyway. Come on. Like other countries don't have roofs you could fiddle on. Now,
yeah, no, that's exactly how it went down. The Jews just kind of took it in stride. The pogroms were just something they kind of had a sense of humor about. Well, I guess we're going to have to move out of the place we've lived for centuries as the Cossacks burn down our villages. That's exactly how the Jews handled that.
Yeah, and look, we're all about gallows humor here. Dark humor is part of our brand, but if you're comfortable going on television and laughing it up at a monologue like this, talk about dinks having regrets later in life. You're going to have some regrets pretty soon, I think. You're not going to be very proud of this footage for too long, if you have any conscience whatsoever.
Come on. Like other countries don't have roofs you could fiddle on?
Like, oh, real funny.
Now, that's not how they really felt, but they were coping. They coped, because sometimes that's all you can do. History is brutal, and humans are not good people. History's sad and full of wrongs, but you can't make them unhappen, because a paraglider isn't a time machine. People get moved, and yes, colonized. Nobody was a bigger colonizer than the Muslim army that swept out of the Arabian desert and took over much of the world in a single century. And they didn't do it by...
Yeah, what are the dates on that? 632 to 720. Talk about the woke college professors wanting to litigate past atrocities to evade having to litigate current ones. Pretty woke of Bill Maher right here. 632 to 720.
Yes, this is the core of this line of argument. This is just the most brazen, most honest, and fully articulated version of this argument. But this is the core argument you will get down to when you push Zionists a little bit. Why did everyone else get to commit atrocities? Why did America get to kill all the Indians and take the land? Why don't we get to kill all the Palestinians and take the land? Because we like to think that human sensibilities have evolved and that now we think that's wrong. And we try not to commit genocides in broad daylight to steal people's land anymore.
It's kind of the whole point of talking politics and doing political content.
Having the UN.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Asking. There's a reason Saudi Arabia's flag is a sword. Kosovo was the cradle of Christian Serbia. Then it became Muslim. They fought a war about it in the 90s, but stopped. They didn't keep it going for 75 years. There were deals on the table to share the land called Palestine in 1947, 93, 95, 98, 2000, 2008, and East Jerusalem could have been the capital of a Palestinian state that today might look more like Dubai than Gaza. Arafat was offered 95% of the West Bank and said no. The Palestinian people
that is
should
total
know
bullshit. That is total bullshit. This is something else that the Zionists will very often fall back on. It is not true. So this is a great article. I would really recommend checking it out. I just want to read a couple of things from it because I want you to be armed when you hear this from the Zionists. It is one of the most common things they will push back with, that Israel has no partner for peace, that the Arabs and the Palestinians only want to wipe Israel off the map. How can you make peace with this? So this article by John Swartz, this is in The Intercept. All the times Israel has rejected peace with Palestinians. Israel prefers endless conflict to a Palestinian state. And he goes, the whole article, 1948 all the way to the present, he illustrates and well documents all the times that Israel rejected a two-state solution. So, sorry about that. Following the 1967 war, the international consensus gradually came to be that peace would require the creation of a Palestinian state. At the same time, the PLO accepted internally that the overall war was over and they had lost. They were therefore willing to make peace in return for a state on the 22% of Palestine constituting Gaza and the West Bank. A 1976 draft resolution at the UN Security Council called for this and stated that Israel should, quote, withdraw from all the Arab territories occupied since June 1967, unquote. The PLO supported the resolution. Every country on the Security Council except the U.S., including the UK, France, Italy, Japan, and Sweden, voted for it. But Israel had no interest in it and the U.S. vetoed it. Instead of encouraging further moderation from the PLO, Israel invaded Lebanon in 1982 with, according to Ziv Maoz, an Israeli historian who served in the military during 3 of the country's wars, several goals. The first was to destroy the PLO and hence Palestinian nationalism. Now, this jumps ahead a little bit in the article to the continued negotiations that grew out of Clinton's efforts to secure peace before he left office. The Israelis and the Palestinians kept talking in late January 2001 in Taba, Egypt. It was not the Palestinians, but Barak, who terminated, that was the prime minister of Israel, but Barak, who terminated the discussions on January 27th, a few weeks before Israeli elections. The negotiators issued a joint statement that the two sides had, quote, never been closer to reaching an agreement, and it is thus our shared belief that the remaining gaps could be bridged with the resumption of negotiations, unquote. But Barak was defeated by Ariel Sharon, who did not want a Palestinian state and did not restart the talks. The Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs declared that the Clinton parameters are not binding on the new government to be formed in Israel. So part of what, and the article gets into this also, Bill Clinton has been lying about this for decades. He has been lying, telling people, along with his lovely wife, that Arafat walked away from the peace deals. Not true. Not true. So I would highly recommend check out that Intercept article. Arm yourself with facts when you hear this from Zionists.
Yeah, because it's a very, very common talking point. I mean, we saw RFK go there too, right? In the newest Breaking Points piece. Almost done with Bill Maher, but we can't end this segment without getting the money line here. So let's go back for just a few seconds.
And the useful idiots on college campuses who are there.
Hold on.
Arafat was offered 95% of the West Bank and said no. The Palestinian people should know your leaders and the useful idiots on college campuses who are their allies are not doing you any favors by keeping alive the river to the sea myth. I mean, where do you think Israel is going? Spoiler alert, nowhere.
Yeah, he has Rappaport in the audience there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he likes that. Ha! Woo! There you have it. Calling these kids useful idiots. I mean, it's just, you live in another world, man. You're not wired the way I am. I mean, that's it. I mean, what do you say to that? You look at this groundswell of activism of these kids who are, you know, really in the case of these Ivy League kids, man, and, you know, I'm not one to stick up for the Ivy Leagues. I don't think the Ivy League should really exist, if you want to be honest. You know, they're getting these job offers rescinded. They're having all of these very, very wealthy people and organizations threaten to basically, you know, scrap the entire campus. And they go out there and do it. They're fucking useful idiots. Like they are 100 times as more independent minded than Bill Maher, and certainly the fucking shitload of morons he has in that audience who are laughing and clapping at all this nonsense.
Please clap.